a similar kind of role here. Option as always. I don't know. It's kind of it's a little too early to tell.
Okay.
You think they might leave that till 5, to the 5th pick?
I think that so EG has had first pick this game, so NP actually has the last pick. So EG needs to use their 4 and 5 slots, most likely on their cores. They could pick one of their cores early, generally just something that's good against Nakes. I'm trying to think what that could possibly be. I know they like Ursa. They've always liked Ursa. Ursa's not bad.
Is it different for you? Or actually, it is different for you, I know, but how different is it for you being able to sit here relaxed, look at the draft, look at the whole field, compared to when you're in the booth and you were sat there with the guys and you were trying to think about who fits what and how does it fit into the game and what the meta is and how does it counter them?
I think by the time we actually sat down at these tournaments, we had our drafting so thought out that it was like it's way harder for me now because I'm not involved in the team and I'm not, I don't know where their heads are at.
Sure.
So when we were all together, like we knew exactly. Well, for the most part, we'd like to kind of just stay organized.
What was the sort of hero pool size you would work with?
I
30,
think
40?
Every player would have probably 3 to 4 of their favorite heroes of the patch, and then probably like 5 to like another 3 or 4 that were like very like a little bit more situational.
Okay. So maybe 40 heroes tops.
Yeah, you don't want to go too much more than that.
Yeah.
And there's always all these players are so talented and skilled that you can kind of bust out these like random picks that kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like a historical one that you were always quite good at 2 years ago, and you think, yeah, I could probably still play that.
Yeah, and I use TI5 as an example when I played Ancient Apparition.
Yeah.
That was a hero that I never played. But I never played in like professionally.
Sure.
And it wasn't like on our.
But
like,
you knew how to play the hero.
Yeah, it wasn't on like our hero tier list, but like we felt like this is a pick that can really work in this situation, and we're all confident in our abilities to play the game.
Right.
And all these heroes kind of are the same, but different spells.
Sure.
So Evil Geniuses, they know the type of game that MP wants to play. Or rather, that MP likes to play. Alright, let me rephrase that. Does it say anything about what they plan on picking, or is this just countering MP? With the Naga, with the Alchemist, Medusa Ban?
Well, I know EG has always struggled up against the kind of Radiance split push. That seems to be like one of their big weaknesses as a unit. So Alchemist first 2 bans, not too surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Naga is just a hero that I know they play themselves. Artur loves the hero, but Envy and Aoi both love the hero, and maybe it's not something they really want to play against. Silencer's actually pretty bad against Naga, so not super great. But now they're going to have the opportunity to kind of counterpick up against the Lifestealer Slardar. We could look for, with the 3rd pick, they probably want to stick to a support, but they could pick, I don't know, they could pick a core. It's like too early for a Slark though, or they could Juggernaut. I don't know. Terrorblide's the best, I think, but it's banned.
Just banned. This Silencers, this is Silencer support or core, or can they just go either way with it? Support,
yeah
is hands
for
down?
sure.
Okay.
Core Silencer would like just die instantly in this game.
Right, so support Silencer. It is.
They could, I don't know. This is the hardest pick for EG, I think, right here. Because there's so many options for them, and they can either, I think the safe pick is just to go with a support. They could pick like an Earth Spirit, or maybe even like, I don't know, hard to say. Enigma?
Do you feel like with the minus armor coming out from NP, EG has to fix something in the armor, in terms of armor in the draft, or is that going to be fixed with items or heroes that by default will buy?
It's going to be with their heroes
an
that
AC
they pick.
Or
Yeah.
Lance,
Yeah, it's going to be heroes that can all EG needs to do is survive that kind of infest Slardar stun combo. And that's why they're going to pick, their cores are going to be able to respond to that, I think.
So they do go with the safe pick, which is the Earth Spirit.
Yeah, and it's just a good hero, and it does wonders against these like defensive supports. It's actually relatively easy to silence Dazzle, because Dazzle has to get kind of close until Grave is leveled up. And it's just, I mean, it's not the greatest pick against Lifesteal Slardar, but you got to pick heroes. So it's a pretty good overall hero, and I know Crit. I wonder if Crit or Zai is going to play it, because those two heroes could go either way, I think.
What do you give more priority in farm?
Probably Earth Spirit. So I think Zai would play it, but I almost think that Crit has like a better Earth Spirit.
Okay.
So it's like weird, but because they always mix it up. Like they both play Wisp, they both play Earth Spirit.
Yeah, and they are also both players that can be greedy. Like they can swap
Yeah.
the 4 and the 5. It's not that hard.
But I think Crit's the 5.
Generally, yes.
Generally, yeah.
But they can, yeah, I guess they can swap. This is starting to get very scary in terms of vision, by the way, because NP has already got the amplified damage, or sorry, corrosive haze, and now the Hawk as well for the Beastmaster. That's something that EG, I mean, they lack that vision.
Yeah, they also lack a lot of AoE.
Yeah.
To deal with like necrobooks or anything, so.
I like NP's draft so far.
Yeah, I like it too. It's not bad at all.
Oh. There we get the Sumail Invoker.
Wow.
Game changer.
Always enjoyable to watch.
Is it a game changer? You don't seem convinced at all.
It's not particularly great against Lifestealer.
Okay.
Just naturally, because Lifestealer
Raging,
made to
yeah.
magic and Invoker's all magic. But they're in a really hard spot right now, and I think that they might last pick Slark. But playing up against Lifestealer Slardar is really, really difficult. And then when you're gonna have to they have to last pick a core here, and they could also go like Morphling, for example. But then they have to deal with NP potentially picking up a Nyx Assassin or an Ancient Apparition or something that kind of counters their hero. So they need to pick a hero that doesn't have a lot of counters, but also does well against Lifestealer Slardar.
Well, they need that 5th hero to basically get the whole draft together, because it's a little bit jumbled at the moment.
So MP have banned out the Drow.
Yeah, it's an option. I don't think Drow is too good. We saw Liquid really struggle with it, but I don't think that was...
That was a super squishy lineup as well, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Monkey King have a really bad game,
Yeah.
game 1 here on stream, and then we saw Monkey King do amazing things in a later game. So I think Drow definitely has potential. It just didn't really work out for Liquid.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would have gone for that Viper ban.
And there's the still
Okay.
the Slark.
Yeah, so Slark is a hero that can actually kind of deal with these. First off, you can kind of see him coming, because Slark can kind of feel people near him.
Do you not think that would have been a better ban?
I think it would have been a better ban,
Yeah.
but maybe they're confident against Slark, and maybe they're going to last pick a hero that does really well against Slark.
Maybe.
Slark
Maybe
obviously
they
also-
forced them to pick the Slark.
Slark able to scout out the vision, and then can tell Earth Spirit he can kick rocks if he wants to the bird.
Whoa, that'd be impressive. But Silencer can also just Q and get the bird.
That's
which
probably better.
which is pretty easy too.
Yeah.
But the rock kick sounds nice. I'm sure Earth Spirit will love that gold.
So final pick for MP then. Where do they go? Last couple of seconds.
Shadow
They're
Fiend
going to
it
go
is.
for
More
Shadow
armor.
Fiend.
Oh, so the
Okay.
support Slardar. Okay.
It
Yep.
will be. Or they can go very greedy and put Beastmaster in the jungle or something.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do some pseudo jungling / offlaning as
Mm.
well.
Yeah.
But I guess that makes sense. We more so see Slardar as a support anyways these days.
All right, which way? EG or MP?
Chief, you go first.
Okay, so I think EG's draft is I don't see it, and I can see what NP tried to achieve, but in the back of my mind, EG is the better team. So I kind of feel like NP won the draft, but EG is gonna win the game.
Okay, well, that's fair. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah,
So
alright.
yeah.
Peter?
I like NP's draft too. I think that EG will most likely win, but I'll take NP for just the sake of it. I think that I think our tour needs to have a really, really good game on Slark, and day 1 EG. So first game of the day.
Day 1 EG, I like it. Well, you heard it from the man. He's the man. He would know. Day 1 EG. Can they step up and remove the old thing around their neck that says they don't start very well at tournaments. We're about to find out as they head into their first game of the day against Team NP, and we hand over to our commentary team. This time it's Capitalist and Lyrical. Welcome to the mainstream.
Thank you very much, Paul, and the panel. Oh, you're still there. Hello. Hello and welcome, everybody. We're here, EG versus NP. I'm Lyrical, as well as Cap. Cap, how you doing? How you feeling about the draft? You excited to get into it?
I really agree with what our panel said. I liked NP's drafts quite a bit. I think they set this up very nicely. I like the Beastmaster on NP. The thing is that NP, they bring a certain kind of play style to Dota, and it's much slower than most of the other teams. And you're talking about a region that is also quite greedy, and they're the greediest among NA, right? So it's a special kind of style, and I'm just not sure if EG, I think in many ways they were forced to go to the Slark, but I don't know if the Slark was necessarily a good idea for them, just because I see NP winning the laning phase here, being able to transition this Beastmaster pretty well, and just having a really strong, like, 30-minute marker, right? I think they're just going to ball into EG pretty quickly, and I'm not sure if this Slark is going to be able to do much about it.
Well, I'm really excited to see how it goes as well. You mentioned the MSS Beastmaster, one of his most played heroes, and throughout the qualifiers, I think that it was their most played hero overall, and it feels like you can still play the split pushing style with this guy and go for a lot of pickoffs, which it feels like with the Lifestealer and Fest Bombs, that's going to be very relevant. But he also gives you that vision that the panel was talking about. I think that another big thing to watch out for is just how well these globals come out, as it looks like there's going to be a contest for the rune, and MSS going to be able to scare him away. And a lot of heroes up here in this top side. Are they going to aggro this out, you think?
I think it's the best idea for them at this point, because they have this Lifestealer early pickup against the Centaur. It's a laning phase counter, not necessarily an all-around game counter, because Open Wounds obviously is countered by the Stampede and stuff like that. But in just the laning phase, Centaur is a lot weaker because he has this big Lifestealer who's able to take advantage of the high HP and kind of chase that hero out. So they do want to do an aggro dual lane, maybe even sometimes aggro tri-lane, depending on what SVG is up to. SVG is usually the one you want to keep your eye on for NP, because NP is very greedy, and it all comes together when SVG is able to make all the space for them in the laning phase.
And this is amazing already here at the start, zoning out Sumail. He got the ward for himself as well. This is going to ensure that Eternal Envy has a good start to this game at least, and you certainly need it, particularly on this Shadow Fiend dealing with the Invoker going for the Exort build. But yeah, it should end up being a fairly even matchup. Do you think that there's any kill potential if you have that Earth Spirit roaming into this lane, though?
Absolutely. I think there could be kill potential on the SF. He's a rather vulnerable hero to ganks, but this is where the aggro duel and aggro tri-lane come into sense, right? Is that they're going to make sure these supports can't roam into lanes. So SVG's job is, first, make sure that the SF is able to get his initial amount of souls, so he has no problem CSing against an Invoker. And then next is going to be locking down those supports in the top lane to ensure that it remains a 1v1 for both the mid and the safe lane. This is how NP plans to win potentially all three lanes.
All right, well, we'll have to see if EG are able to respond to this. So far, the Invoker pretty far behind, but he will be able to catch up as time goes on. Arteezy, meanwhile, up here on the top on his Slark, has been able to not CS super effectively either against MSS, but with the rotations that are coming in soon, like can they find any kill potential up in this top lane, or is it just try and secure whatever farm you can and get the pulls off?
I think it's more about pulling for EG and getting the extra experience to get to their level 2 and preventing NP from being too aggressive on the Slark. This is what the Silencer is really good at in the laning phase, is spamming out that Arcane Curse and burning through the mana of these heroes. As you can see, MSS already had to use the offlane Shrine.
Well, and mid again, we're just keeping our eyes on this one because you want to see how these early heroes that are very momentum-based, particularly the Shadow Fiend, do. And, Eternal Envy able to push Sumail back up onto his hill here, going to throw out a couple raises to boot. He's having a great time in this lane so far.
Yeah, he really is.
Oh my god, is this... Oh, no mana for that third.
He just was 4 mana short, even threatening that salve. Sumail, I'm sure Sumail is going to feel like a little bit pressured by this, and he's not going to lose his cool, but I think he is one of those players where if you challenge him in the laning phase, he's going to bite back real hard. So Envy's got to be careful not to overextend himself and let himself potentially be caught out by a rapid rotation from crit or something like that. That would be the utmost danger, is losing your laning phase because you got too aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, and he's Envy already off to a good start, but they are going to roam into this now. The crush is going to be there. One raise. Will they have enough to bring him down, though? The right clicks, they do get the first blood. Eternal Envy, with a little bit of help from SGG, takes down Sumail.
Yeah, great stuff. SVG making the right time for that rotation. Unfortunately, Evil Geniuses, they do have this defensive ward that should see a lot of these rotations from these supports out of the aggro tri-lane. So I'm a little bit surprised that Sumail did get caught out by SVG rotating like that, but still, he is, as he pretty much always does for NPs. He has this consistent performance in the laning phase that creates a lot of space for all of NP.
Meanwhile, the bottom lane, we haven't had a ton of chance to talk about it as of yet, but Lifestealer off to a good start, as you mentioned, against that Centaur. Is this something where you need to just try and get up that level 6 as quick as possible? Is there any chance that, oh, well, we might have MSS in a little bit of trouble here? Crit's going to roll in, slow down. The Arcane Curse continuing to get the slow, but there's Dazzle to top him off and should be able to back out now.
Yeah, Dazzle is such a great aggro dual lane support because he's able to push out the wave and then pull from the hard camp, giving you extra experience. He's also able to provide you that extra amount of sustain. Oh, Sumail caught again.
Maybe in some trouble here. They turn for the cold snap. The Sunstrike is not quite going to be on the mark, but they're going to jump in with Crit as well. Sumail is already dead, though, and Crit, taking a lot of damage on boot as well off the back of that. This is a really great start for NP.
And a TP out from that top lane by MSS as he gets a bit low from the pounce. So they don't even take advantage of the fact that support was mid. You know, the support showed on mid. They immediately try and do something up there in the top lane, but they don't even manage to get a kill. So NP is just kind of running away with the laning phase right now. But it's not all doom and gloom for Evil Geniuses. Some of this is expected. For example, Universe is going to be a bit down in CS against a Lifestealer, but Centaur is an offlaner who enjoys farm. He takes advantage of the farm that you give him. So while the 1v1 is favorable for NP, it's also not terrible for Universe himself, right? He wants to be able to get that faster Blink Dagger, get those higher solo levels, and this 1v1 does allow him to be able to do that, even if it is at the cost of a free farming Lifestealer.
Yeah, and also thinking forward to when you get that level 6 up on Silencer and you have that incredibly strong initiation of just blink in, get the hoof stomp, drop global, kill everybody to death. It feels like that's still something that they're going to be able to fall back upon once they get that initial farm up and online. But meanwhile, Universe is smoked up. They're getting ready to try something here, but Envy very, very cautious on the other side, and SVG is there to be the combo breaker as well. Can they actually make this kill happen? Rolling Boulder in gets broken, and SVG just going to be able to walk out of that. So really heads-up play by SVG to come in, and now maybe they can even take down Crit. He needs to be a little bit careful getting body blocked in. The stun, they are going to be able to find that crush, and there's the heal bomb to take him down. 3-0 start for NP. They are looking fabulous.
NP look really sick. I mean, you saw the way they knew this rotation was coming, right? And it's an unusual one to move the Centaur out of lane before you have the level 6, but Lifestealer immediately pinged, hey, the Centaur's gone. They're probably making a rotation. NP plays the hard left-hand side of this camp to make sure that he's not going to be caught out as they wrap around the trees or anything like that. SVG moves in a way to be able to break potential smokes, and I think in many ways he was just lucky that he happened to also be blocking the boulder like that. But that's just strong positioning combined with, you know, the right time, right opportunity that manages to get them a third kill in the game before Evil Geniuses have managed to pick up their own.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's a bit of luck, but it's also there with the skill and the recognition that there could be something happening. So mixture of being prepared and yeah, just really good stuff so far from NP. For EG, are they that worried about this really bad start? Do you think that this is a team that has the potential to catch back up as the game goes on?
I mean, Evil Geniuses, I think, has always been a team that is able to climb out of bad laning phase situations, but it is going to be difficult for them. I think initiation.
Ooh, this is a good way to make it happen, though. You can find a kill here onto Envy, and this is so great for them. Although it does look like they end up sharing it instead of getting a kill.
That is, I mean, that's just the hard part about an Earth Spirit. You can see these rotations, you can put mid wards up all you want, but the initiation range of an Earth Spirit is so long that he can just approach straight through the lane and catch you out that way. So you know, Envy might have been a little bit far forward, but I don't really blame him too much. It's just kind of inevitable that Earth Spirits will find an opening like that against your mid laner. What what I do think is that Evil Geniuses are going to have to rely heavily on being able to get the initiation. But NP with this laning phase, I don't think they're really going to give a whole lot of opportunities. I can see this team probably just grouping up quite a bit. If you watch NP, they play a very unique defensive play style for the first 15 minutes usually. And that's going to be hard for Evil Geniuses to crack. They do need to find some pickoffs here and there.
Well, in the meantime, you know, Zai is just sitting up here as well, hanging out and making sure that Arteezy has an okay time. And he has been able to farm for himself. He's third in net worth right now, hasn't been killed at all, 49 CS. And this is, again, one of those heroes that can take off in a strong fashion if you are able to find a couple of those first couple picks. Do you imagine it's the type of Shadow Blade game? Is that pretty much exclusively what we're seeing from Slark now?
I think he will have to pick up the Shadow Blade because he'll need some early damage in order to cut through some of these heroes, and he will have the opportunities to get pickoffs. I think Beastmaster is going to be one of the notable heroes left out on the side. Sumail?
Wow.
I was about to say, if he hits the Sunstrike there, he'd be pretty low, but Envy, he did have the Haste Rune in the bottle.
Yeah. Keeping his eyes on that and obviously not wanting to drop a Sunstrike and then not end up hitting it, but that is going to be Envy heading back towards the jungle, farming up a little bit more in his own right. A little stun coming out from SVG for Universe as well. You talk about that initial group up that you might end up seeing. Do you feel like the onus is on either team to really get stuff done earlier? Like Stampede can sometimes be that mitigating factor where you can get in up close when you otherwise wouldn't be able to.
I think some of the early game, maybe in the next 5 to 10 minutes, it's more on Evil Geniuses to be able to make openings, for them to be able to find pickoffs on the SF or the Beastmaster, slow down some of their mid-game items, because you really don't want to let a Beastmaster farm up into Necrobook 1, 2, and have his Blink Dagger. That's going to be too rough, especially for heroes like the Slark. Arteezy also is going to have to make some moves, some aggressive maneuvers around, just to be able to get some of those pickoffs that you alluded to, right? It's very much a carry that does snowball off of picking heroes off. But the problem is you could see NP are playing very defensively, right? MSS,
yeah.
He stays around his tower. He plays off the offlane camps mostly. You have your supports, especially your defensive support in Dazzle, usually hovering around the mid or offlane area. And no one really wants to gank a Lifestealer, right?
Yeah.
It's a Lifestealer. Like, what happens if you don't hit that silence fast enough, right, on the Earth Spirit? What if you don't hit that kick in time and he rages before you? And it's just a wasted gank. So NP feel pretty confident about being able to just react to whatever EG does.
Oh. They're setting up right now for a smoke to try and get something more than just reactive on deck for themselves. I did have to wait for that backpack timer to kick in, but Owie ready to jump inside somebody and possibly hop out to find a kill here onto Zai. Well, it would have been great for them to get the Slark, but he is very cautious right now in his movement and back behind the Tier 1 tower.
Yeah, this is a pretty classic rotation. It's why a lot of these safe laners who are capable of jungling will abandon their lane pretty much always by 10 minutes, is they don't want to be caught up by rotation like this.
Oh, they're onto him, but maybe going to be able to turn this back around. They're onto Zai instead. Sunquery comes down, and they are able to kill off MSS, but they're able to find Zai in return. And that was going to be a TP out, so nothing else gained or lost in that engagement. As
look at bottom. The smoke gank might be able to catch out SVG.
This would be quite nice. Still very close to that Blink Dagger as well. Crit going to run in, get the silence off, have the hoops off, double edge to follow, and Sunstrike to find the kill. Nice little pickup there for EG.
Yeah, this is great because they know there was significant rotations. At the very least, the Lifestealer TP'd up to top lane. So they know there's not going to be any heroes, any backup at bottom lane. They just want that free kill. It'll slow down the Blink Dagger progression of the Slardar, and it'll also get the Blink Dagger up for Universe. And this is where the timing, where Evil Geniuses can play a lot more aggressive in their pickoff ideas. I'm not sure if they can really go towards where the Lifestealer is, but the Beastmaster and SF, I think, are number one. The heroes that you want to try and rotate, find them in the jungle, pick them off, especially since you do have this global Sunstrike at any time.
Oh, man, and right now, MSS, he's been smoked up for a little while and might run into Sumail. He's right by his shrine, though. There was a couple of seconds earlier. That might have been a kill, but now it's looking less and less likely. They are still pressuring along this top lane, though, the side of NP. And, I mean, if they wanted to, they could apply a little bit of pressure up there. But they're going to have to come back at some point because bottom lane is starting to get taken down by EG as well.
Yeah, Universe, he starts running down there, but he realizes NP are just, they're completely abandoning that bottom lane in favor of trying to get this tier 2 top. And this is the power of the Beastmaster, his early pushing power, if let alone in a lane. Evil Geniuses don't really have too many tools to deal with this.
Oh god, they're getting ready to go in though, and Crit, he is going to try and go for the kill. SVG already dead at the very start of this one. Rolling Boulder forward. They also have the blink forward. Universe going to be able to take down 1437. So just like that, the push is stopped in its track, but they did a lot of damage to that tier 2.
Envy makes the right play off of that, seeing the heroes rotate up to top lane. He wants to protect that safe lane tower and make sure RTZ doesn't get free farm while they also lost a team fight. But I think that really was just NP being a little bit sloppy there. I think they got ahead of themselves and kind of felt like, oh, we're actually going to be able to take this tier 2. They're not going to contest us. And they spread out a bit too much, right? The Slardar got picked off immediately. The Dazzle was separated.
Yeah, and now they're on top of the Shadow Fiend. So Envy going to drop in this bottom lane. Was looking very good early on for NP, and the last couple of minutes been a little bit shaky, but we always knew that this is something that could happen with the EG lineup.
Yeah, this is the danger of allowing Evil Geniuses to be able to run you around the map a little bit. And them initially winning that top fight allows them to be able to set up an opportunity at bottom. And when you're run around the map like this, Lyrical, it's like it's so much worse now since the change to the TP scroll, the 80-second cooldown. So you got to be really careful about where you TP out to. A safe lane SF, you know, him TPing out there, he's pretty isolated, and you got to make sure that your allies do have the TP cooldowns available to help you.
Oh, and you see these two offlaners right now. MSS is smoked up, ready to make something happen with the Slardar as they get themselves into position down here bottom and trying to run into Crit. They are going to commit the Roar and the Stomp same time. Well, double stun for double kill, and he ends up falling. Envy not able to get in on the action, but they're ready to push again.
I think Crit's pretty happy with that. Like, he tanked a smoke gank. He made sure that RTZ was able to dodge that and get out just fine. He's going to have his Shadow Blade pretty quickly here, so that's actually not too terrible for Evil Geniuses. NP, though, since they've made this kind of rotation, they got the pick off they wanted to. You have to make the most out of it by pushing down the tower immediately, but it does look like Evil Geniuses are going to try and protect this off-lane tower.
I like this movement, though. You look at it, you've got MSS, he's got his 2 points up right now into his passive, getting that increased attack speed. They're able to kind of move around with impunity, and sure, there is some split-pushing potential that you have to deal with, but it's not as if Slark is going to be barreling down towers and taking them incredibly quickly.
No, certainly not, right? That's not a big fear for NP. They can, for the most part, be pretty confident about them being able to take like some of these side lane towers without fearing any sort of trade-offs. They want to protect their mid tower for the most part. I think that's where you could possibly give up too much control to a Slark. Slark and his Shadow Blade, he's really reliant on being able to make rotations deep into jungles, and some of these outer towers are very preventative of that, the mid tower especially.
Ever closer now, this Slardar to his Blink Dagger. Still a little ways away, and Envy also picking up an Invis Rune for himself, seeing if he could get just a cheap little pick off, but nobody's farming over on this side of the map. Everybody from EG is over here on the top side. What do you feel like the next couple of minutes look like for each of these teams? Is there one team that you feel like, oh, well, there's going to be a pick off there as Slardar gets taken down? Oh, that was right before his Blink, too.
I think that's step number one. They need to make sure that Blink Dagger doesn't happen for Slardar, because once they have that vehicle for the Lifestealer, NP's lineup looks a whole lot scarier, even for heroes like the Slark. Slark is not going to be as comfortable split pushing because, you know, a lot of times he just doesn't want to sit there right-clicking creeps. He wants to use his Dark Pack, but if he's using that, right, it means he's susceptible to a potential Blink Slardar crush. So they need to try and slow that down as much as possible. NP, in the meantime, they finish that Blink Dagger. They use that to smoke up with a Lifestealer and go for some sort of gank while the other two cores are showing on the map. They get that successful gank and translate that into a big objective. So most of the time you're going to be looking at the mid-tier 1 tower. Potentially Roshan is an objective they can go for as well.
Oh, and just picked up a DD here as well for Envy. So this is a really great timing. They are all grouped up now. EG thinking about going in to make something happen. They're going to throw in one stone at the very least, but Roche just died in a second, and now you're looking at an Aegis here on Envy. They've got that first Necro book up and online. I'm struggling to see how EG deal with this push.
Oh, I don't think they really can. I mean, they do not have Global Silence for another 50 seconds, so they definitely don't want to fight right now. They got to just give up their tier 2, I'm pretty sure, unless they find the right kind of opening. You know, Universe sees an opportunity for a 2 or 3 man hoof stomp. Unless that happens, there's no sense in fighting around this.
And you do have a courier coming in right now, which will have a Blink Dagger on it, and Now, this is a really big timing here. They're going to get the stun onto the Lifestealer. Sunstrike to follow. They're trying to drop it down, but he gets the Grave off at the last second and just going to be able to armlet toggle away from this one. Has the weave. The very clear retreat together as a team. NP, easy Dota.
A little bit, right? He infested inside the SF. Maybe he was afraid of a second Sunstrike. Keeping it out there somewhere, or maybe the Slark comes in and bursts him down while he's low on the armlet toggle. Maybe that's what he was afraid of, but it does mean Infest is on cooldown for another 60 seconds. It's not too bad, though. NP still want to try and keep up the tempo, though. They should try and take out the rest of these outer Tier 2 towers, start controlling the map. The one thing you have to make sure of, though, as you start pressuring into these Tier 2 towers is to not let the Slarks as split push you too much, as well as the Invoker. What these heroes want to do is they want to split push you a whole bunch, so then you naturally have to break apart in order to deal with it, and then you find your opportunities for pickoffs.
Right. Well, and it still does look like this is a lineup that can punish that, defending the split push very heavily. But likewise, NP, if they're knocking on your high ground, it doesn't matter how much you're split pushing at this point. There's still Tier 2s up on each of those side lanes, and mid Tier 1 is still up and online. I'm looking at this right now and seeing EG in a lot of trouble with that Aegis there. And, I mean, can NP think about threatening high ground even?
Maybe.
Oh, Sunstrike out. Envy, he ends up dying to that one. So, well, so much for that Aegis.
Yeah, and maybe Evil Geniuses are okay with taking a team fight because they still have Global Silence. As NP retreat, they have to be, and I like this, right? They're being very disciplined about their play. They're not splitting up too much and leaving opportunities for the Slark to catch them out. Oh, and they're actually setting up a great game.
This is going to be a great one. Right as Dark Pack comes down now, RTZ, oh, he gets the Shadow Dance off. Able to escape from that one, trying to get the Stampede out. A double hoof stomp. Universe needs to escape from that one, and they actually have a Blink Dagger. They can maybe punish this. Not sure if he needed to go in on that instance, and now he doesn't have Stampede to get away. Universe is going to fall. So a little bit of back and forth going on there, but they do get the Slark out at the very least.
Yeah, NP are... man, that was such a smart rotation, right? They backed up just enough to kind of be out of danger, right? There's no chance of EG chasing them down and catching them while they're trying to TP out. But they make this very fast rotation into mid, catch Arteezy. They were so close to getting that kill.
Oh.
They were mid-swing on two of their heroes. But either way, right, it created the space because they got the Centaur kill after this, and then on top of that, top lane as well as mid lane was still pretty well pushed in. Evil Geniuses have total control of this game, and as long as they don't make any mistakes, all they have to worry about is their execution of going into high ground. That's going to be the next difficult part. Controlling the game is like the first obvious step of this draft and being able to get control and build up a gold lead, but the next really hard part to execute Lyrical is going to be going high ground. Against Evil Geniuses, they're pretty good on their spacing when it comes to high ground defense, so it is going to be a bit difficult and probably reliant on a second Aegis.
All right, well, we'll have to watch that next fight that's sure to unfold. In the meantime, we do have Slark going back for a Lincoln Sphere, and this sort of is reminiscent of one of the games that we cast earlier between OG and Wings, where it feels like if they can get over this hump of the very strong timing you have from NP, maybe then you have EG sort of get out of control with the Slark, with the Invoker picking up the items that he needs in the levels. Do you feel like that's the case, or is it something where if NP break like one lane of barracks, they're just going to end up being able to snowball through the rest of the game?
I'm pretty sure if they break one lane of barracks in the next 10 minutes, it's almost kind of over, just because you should be able to control the other half of the map as the one lane always pushes in for you, and you just kind of build and build more of an advantage. But this is why Evil Geniuses need to get aggressive, and they can't let NP set the tempo for these pushes, because NP also has really good high ground pushers, right? The SF is quite notable as he's decently tanky and can beat on that tower with high amount of physical damage. The Beastmaster is great at breaking towers, and so is a Lifestealer. You do those pokes at the tier 3 where you run up, you rage, and then you back up. NP have a lot of options in that regard. So Evil Geniuses can't just sit back and go, well, we have high ground defense. They can't do that because NP has a really good lineup for breaking it. So they gotta get opportunities. They gotta make opportunities for them to push out and see if they can get some sort of pickoff. I'm just not sure how.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for it right now, just pressuring up there onto high ground. Owie turns. They end up going a nice little force staff away, and they use Stampede as well to ensure the retreat. But now NP need to be a little bit careful. The Tornado to lift. I don't know if we'll have any follow-up after the fact. It looks like EG content for the moment, since we do have Slark pushing in on the bottom lane. We'll have the creeps there under the Tier 3 tower, and a little bit of chill for a moment.
I like that EG aren't worrying about that Tier 3, though.
Oh. Another Rage Pop. That's Meatball down now.
Yeah, with Stampede down, and there's still Global Silence up, but Stampede was a pretty big ability that was used. I like the fact that he used that opportunity to beat on the Tier 3 a bit more. If they can finish it up in the next 30 seconds and open up Shrines, that'll be a huge win. It'll be worth the loss of that Tier 2 bottom and potentially the Tier 1 mid.
This is what makes it so tough about the Slark, too, is because you can't threaten as much of the split push as you might with other heroes, and now they're just stepping forward. Eviscerate Universe. He was gone in an instant. And now with the Tier 3 going to go down, you mentioned it, there's the Shrines. They're even flirting with the idea of sticking around to do some more damage to those barracks, but they do finally back out now. Man, really impressive display from NP, and this opens up, you know, potentially Roshan afterwards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Roche is not too long. The shrines are open, so they can take away this Roshan shrine, which is really important for Evil Geniuses to be able to contest Roche. So this is all huge wins for NP. I mean, again, I'm just really impressed by how disciplined they were. They gave a lot of respect to EG. We knew that Centaur didn't have buyback, but they said it's not a good idea to go for that Rax. If he does have buyback, we can go into a bad team fight that could lose us the control that we have right now. There's no reason to even have a chance at throwing that away. So they're going to back up, just kind of control the map a little bit and wait towards their next objective, get the second Aegis, and then go for that one lane of Rax.
Well, in the meantime, it's just a really, I would say, disciplined display from NP. They're doing all the things that they need to do and none of the things that would end up putting them in a deficit. In the meantime, EG are still struggling to find, I guess, pickoffs at this point. Arteez has been able to get a lot of farm for himself, has the completed Lincoln Sphere, thinking about going back for the Scotty. What's that item that he gets into that allows him to sort of start taking over the game a little bit? Is it just
it's usually the Scotty. Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually that like third item that you pick up that finally says, you know, sometimes it's BKB, sometimes it's Scotty, but it's that third item that says, I am now a decent right clicker in team fights, and I'm gonna get worse as time goes on. Before that, he's just totally pick-off oriented. But as you can see, Arteezy hasn't found a single kill and might die here.
Oh my god, he gets the Dark Pact off as well as the ulti. That was very close to dying. He will be able to escape from that one. So Smoke Ink doesn't end up working out.
Did you see what MSS did? Did you see that one play he did?
Oh, he tried to roar the...
Yeah, he was looking for the roar on the neutral to see if he can get that same exact play he did against, what was it, BSJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Team Freedom. So NP, again, sticking together, making sure they don't let any pickoffs happen, stick together, move towards the bottom half of the map, clear through that jungle area, see if they can get a pickoff. They didn't, but that's okay. They get the Shrine, focus on the Tier 2, and then they're going to probably just reset again and set up for Roshan, which is actually going to be up now. So I'm not sure how comfortable they're going to be going for this Tier 2 if EG is totally off the map. They don't really want to give an Aegis to NP. But then again, I guess I'll look at EG's lineup. They're really bad at Roshan taking.
Right.
Really bad. So
another thing to mention, we have the Blink Dagger that's been completed at this point for the Invoker. That was just a couple of minutes ago. He ended up going for the one extra Forge Spirit talent, so he does become a little bit more of a split-pushing threat with 4-up in Quas as well as max-out Exort at this stage. But it's still sort of dependent upon their ability to keep these lanes pressured against an MP squad that does a good job of spending them out as well. So need to see some more split pushing probably from EG. Is there any way that they can start to take, like, what's the dream fight look like for EG? Is it them initiating onto the Shadow Fiend or possibly the Dazzle?
it really is going to have to be a dream fight. Because if it's actually a team fight, right, not just a pick off them getting a numbers advantage and then running down heroes, it's got to be like a multiple man hoof stomp. And I think it's probably like you just try and kite the Lifestealer. Right? They've got 1, 2 Force Staffs, and a third coming in on their Earth Spirit. So they kite the Lifestealer and they burst down the SF for the Beastmaster. I think that's your go-to play. But you also have the Dazzle to deal with. He's usually the person you want to jump first.
Oh, MSS here might get caught out. They spot him. There's the initiation that comes out. Global as well to follow. MSS is going to die. It looks like they're also able to take out the Dazzle at the start of the fight. Meatball a little bit off the mark, but still, Aoi is forced out of here. Eternal Envy trying to pop the ulti. Not doing a ton of damage off the back of this, and it looks like now EG trying to bail. They've already found 2 kills, but don't want to take this fight too much further, and they will be able to kite themselves out of this. So really great teamfight execution in that one.
Yeah, that was kind of perfect, right? They ran into a Beastmaster that was by himself. It was all due to the fact that Evil Geniuses took like a very unique approach to that smoke and fully wrapped with their smoke all the way around behind, because normally you would expect the heroes just to be, going straight to the Roshan pit, in which case MSS would pop that smoke on the high ground, but now EG has the opportunity to steal away this Aegis.
Oh man, really great stuff here, and this would put so much of a hamper onto NP. Well, they're coming to contest this. Tornado lifts up onto 1. God, this is so tenuous here.
Yeah. EG are doing the right play. They have to poke at NP a bunch, burn through the mana with EMP, stuff like that. But I don't think the opportunity's there. This fight is too hard for them to take. NP, they're not making too many mistakes whatsoever in their positioning. There's very few opportunities for Universe to make a good jump. So NP take the Aegis and can now look to go towards high ground. I'm trying to think of if they want to control the map a little bit more first before they go high ground. There's no reason to rush in Aegis.
Right. Well, and it's interesting, too. The gem just now picked up by the Silencer as well, I believe. So now you've got another way to try and shut down some of this vision game that you've been seeing NP take advantage of, with the Hawk, with all of the wards that are there around the map. They have a ward that's now over by the Tier 2 tower in the bottom lane on the Radiant. So they're getting good vision up, and that's really allowed the movement to the map to be used to the full effect.
Yeah, a lot of times these gems come in when you've run out of smokes. Now, I can't actually tell because of the change whether or not we have any smokes left on EG, but they're going to get into a spot. It's pretty much right now. It's going to be happening in the next 2 or 3 minutes. NP are going to start closing off most of the map. They're going to try and make it so there's a very short distance, so all the lanes are pushed in, and you just kind of like bounce from lane to lane to lane. And the only way that EG are really going to be able to push out if they don't have smokes is going to be because there's no vision from NP. And this is where that gem comes into play. You have to take away that aggressive vision, make sure they can't see your rotations outside of the base, because you can't just sit on high ground. You can't just wait. Otherwise, NP will just get themselves a large enough gold deficit over EG that it won't even matter if you have late game heroes, right? It'll just be a Slark versus a 25k Shadow Fiend, and he's going to blow most heroes up. Envy, though, is pretty far forward here.
Oh, Stampede, they're going for him, trying to take him down. The crit stone, they're not going to be able to get him, it looks like this time. The Basher not online as of yet for Slark, and well, that is Stampede down. What is it going to take where NP start to feel confident to really pressure up? Is it just once all those lanes are pushed in?
It's pretty much a play like that. A failed rotation means that if you look at it, Evil Genius is all on the right-hand side of the map. Bottom lane isn't not a threat in anytime soon, right? So they're going to have mid pushed in. They're going to have top pushed in. They have all the lanes kind of where they want to be, so they feel comfortable going high ground without trading away a tier 3 anywhere. So RTZ tries to push out the lane as much as he can, but honestly, he knows there's no chance of split pushing right now. He has to be there for this team fight, and this is where Evil Geniuses either hold or break.
And this is going to be really tough as well. Butterfly was completed a little while ago for Envy. He is got the range, all the range that he could need, and well, they're going to get a nice little stun combo here. Is there going to be any follow-up? EMP to burn the mana. Don't want to have to pop the BKB for that one, but he is out of mana now. Looks like that's just going to be that Barracks going down. Not a great way to stop it. Cold Snap to follow. Arteezy going to jump in, gets the leash. Still does have it. They're able to catch onto 3 off to the side, and now Lifestealer's just all over them. Does look like they're going to be able to get this melee Barracks, and well, just like that. Well, Envy's still kind of low here. They're thinking about turning this back around, and Lifestealer actually is going to end up falling. They take down Envy as well, so that's 2 already dead. Envy were looking so good a second ago, and now potentially going to end up losing more. Oh, the stun combo right out of the Aegis. Wasn't able to get the BKB off as of yet, and Envy is going to fall. They almost take down Arteezy with the Death Requiem, but my God.
Oh my God, Lyrical! I was so ready to praise NP so much for their disciplined play, the fact that they weren't making any mistakes when it comes to positioning and team fights. They were even under the pressure of all the poke that was happening from the Invoker. They kept the SF on separated on the high ground. No one came too close to him. They got that 3-man crush, right? And looks like Theben might die. Yeah, Theben's going to get picked off by our Slark, but that was all fine, well, and good. But what happened there is, I think one of the big misplays there was Envy using his BKB on his first life. Right. If you saw it, like, they jumped forward, Envy got super low, and they managed to save him, right? And they had this second life, and what they wanted to do was kind of reset. They wanted to keep this Aegis, see if they can reset, play off of a Shrine or something, come back in. And EG know well enough, right? They know they have to pursue, they have to fight while the SF is low. And right there, Envy pops his BKB thinking, I'm going to get off the Requiem. And then when he comes back up, he's immediately stunned, is just beat on a whole bunch. If he pops BKB and gets off his ultimate there, maybe he can actually fight it out well enough that he can get away from that situation, and they keep the SF alive, and everything's kind of okay from there. But the fact that he didn't have that magic immunity in round 2 was critical.
God, and yeah, you can see, I mean, if they don't have that BKB, there's so much control on EG now, particularly through all the stuff that Invoker's got for himself. I believe that he's pretty close now towards that max out Invoker kit. And yeah, he's got all levels currently in Quaswex, so he's just going to become a terror. Does go back for the Lincoln Sphere as well at this point. I don't know. I feel like it's sort of gotten to the stage where we're on the other end of the seesaw, where EG are definitely pulling it back and starting to take over control of this game.
I definitely agree with you. I think we're about even. I think we're back to almost a 50-50 game here, despite Iraq's advantage going the way of NP. Maybe they still have a slight advantage, but it's very worrying for them that Evil Geniuses do have some of these later game heroes that are coming online now. They're real threats in team fights, whereas 10 minutes ago they really weren't much anything. So NP, oh, that smoke was not quite what they wanted. Really great positioning there from EG, like playing around high ground areas and making sure NP don't get the opportunity to strike first.
MSS still looking for one here, and, well, not quite able to connect on the crit.
That was fortunate.
So, again, oh my God, they're so close.
So, Mel, I mean, to be fair, that double damage would mean an opportunity for NP to potentially just push down mid, but that was he was playing maybe a bit cocky, thinking, I'm always going to be able to blink before they can initiate, and that's probably true, right? Yeah. Slardar has to actually get his crush out. The only way that stop is they blink and Fest pop out at the same time.
Yeah, which is quite difficult to time perfectly between two players as well anyways. So in the meantime, we've talked a lot about the ways that NP need to sort of play very disciplined and stuff, but at a certain stage, do you kind of worry about losing that momentum? Do they need to try and force something at any point?
They didn't before. They went high ground pretty naturally. It all felt good, but now they're going to have to start forcing things a little bit more.
Oh, well, the counterplay, they drop out the roar, going to be able to connect. Global Silence comes down. The BKB's already been popped for our Eternal Envy, though, and they're trying to chase it out. On the north side of the fight, it does look like SVG is going to drop to Sumail. So a mega kill streak for him, and with that, it does look like EG are going to back out. I think MP are kind of okay with that, losing. They use Global.
It could have been a whole lot worse considering the way they failed their initiation there.
Oh, lift up now onto Dazzle. He's going to end up dropping in a little bit here. A little on mana, but the Glimmer Cape is going to keep him alive for now.
Helpful little Hurricane Pike, and should be good now. They might have to give up that tier 2 with the Slardar down, but yeah, that could have been so much worse if we actually went back and looked at that individual team fight. They ulted, they roared at a Centaur who got 4-staffed pretty much as the roar went down. I think it was Universe himself who got him out of that situation. So that target was kind of null. And then they also popped out the Infest Lifestealer. They popped out of the Slardar before he actually blinked forward. So what ended up happening is now he spent pretty much his whole entire rage timer just running.
Yeah.
He's just running to try and catch heroes because he was so far behind. So, well, nice pick.
Yeah, this is a big one. Right after he ends up respawning, they're able to take him down again. So, well, now Evil Genius is in another great position to keep the pressure onto these objectives, and they've been able to find the Dazzle to boot. dominating streak for Arteezy, and I mean, Abyssal Blade done now, ended up going for that instead of the Scotty. I think that's a really good decision in this game, and they're looking down the barrel of possibly being able to take that tier 2 and maybe even more.
Yeah, EG, they're great at turning up the pressure when they know they have an advantage, and you're seeing that now. EG is definitely on the winning side of things and should be looking pretty good to take control of this game. They're probably not, we're not looking at an endgame scenario anytime soon. Probably not for another 10 minutes or so. Well, maybe with this Aegis, EG can be the ones to go high ground. We'll have to see, but it's NP's opportunity to contest.
Oh my god, they're getting into position right now where they want to come and take this fight. Owie walk in, lead in the charge. They're in on top of Roche. They spot him out already, trying to take it down. Able to snatch the Aegis is Sumail, but BKB comes out. Envy drops the Requiem of Souls. Maybe going to be able to bring down Sumail. That is going to be the Aegis already down. Can they make any more of it? They're already here on top of SBG, able to get out actually with that Slither and Crush, and it looks like Crit trying to turn now onto Envy. He does not have any BKB left. Sumail is also going to get the Eul Scepter, trying to escape, and will be able to run away. It's going to barely be able to survive from that. Oh my god, he's so low, but is going to die to the Boars. Value right there coming out from MSS's Boars, and Arteezy maybe going to end up falling to boot here. Right clicks coming through. That was a wonderful team fight for NP, and it continues over to the side. Universe jumps back in. They're able to take down Envy. Somehow they turn this back around, and now Arteezy's coming back in to fight. The kite battle is going to continue, and with Crit coming in, he's going to be able to jump now onto Owie, who is going to start to fall. Rage Timer going to wear off in a second, and then they've got a stun from Crit, I believe. Stun, silence combo, and that's going to be the kill. Unstoppable streak. So they do end up getting not the last hit on Roche, but what a fight.
Oh man, there were so many small little things that worked out to the favor of either NP or EG. And I think one of the funniest things was Sumail on his second life. He blinked over, and the Ancient Camp woke up. Those Prowlers or whatever, the one that locks you down when it hits you.
Yeah.
It locked down Sumail next to the Ancient Camp, and now he was just kind of blessed. He was like, oh, I'll just run up and start right-clicking you, and Sumail had to Euls himself and all sorts of things. But that was a very close team fight. But in the end, it was a team fight that NP needed to win badly. They have to actually reset things. This is the danger. Slark, you know your game when you're Slark. When you have an advantage, you just keep pushing it, right? You keep utilizing that regen to just keep being in the enemy's face, to keep racking up those stats. What NP need to do is just let those stats fall.
He's got 30 right now.
Yeah, exactly. They need to let that 90 agility he's holding on to right now just to go away. So NP just got to chill out a little bit, wait for another opportunity. It's not like EG has Aegis, so they're going high ground anytime soon. You have time to make yourself some plays, to try and build some opportunities for pickoffs or maybe just strong initiations leading into team fights.
And I mean, thinking about the gold graph and the way that this has switched around over the last couple of minutes, you look at the way that the top heroes have switched around throughout the past couple of minutes, it's very clear that this was always going to be a possibility. Almost a 20,000 experience lead at this stage for Evil Geniuses. I'm trying to figure out, that you talk about reset, but also at some point you've got to get more than just a ranged barracks up there in the top.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think this again goes back to the idea of the plan B that we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Is that you always have the plan A. Ideally, you're able to close out that lane of racks by 30 minutes with the second Aegis, and then you go the second lane of racks by 40 minutes. That's in your head, the ideal, right? But
Yeah.
EG have mucked things up a little bit. Now NP, they don't have too many other options but slowing the game down just a bit. Now, I'm not saying they don't need to run away from team fights by any means. They can go for a smoke gank right now if they want to, but the first plan kind of failed, right? You weren't able to close out this game in the ideal time you wanted to before the Slark and the Invoker really came online like they are now.
Well, and it feels like it always has to be off the back of an SVG initiation because you can't go in for the Blink Roar anymore on the core targets who have the Lincoln Spheres. Maybe eventually, you get into a couple items to break it, but it looks like EG are actually going to be the ones to go for this initiation. They've been able to find one. Actually, Arteezy in a lot of trouble, but can they get the counterplay? Sumail jumps forward, gets a tornado onto two. There's going to be the hoof stomp coming out as well, and it looks like for the moment they're controlling MSS. On the other side of the map, 1437 forced to grave himself. They're trying to back out, able to jump away from that tornado. Very low, and the Force Staff away. Looks like they're trying to find this. They get the roar off as well. Everybody needs to back out, though. Eternal Envy standing tall in front of his MP brothers. Arteezy looking for the kill himself. Another big hoof stomp they'd be able to find, too. Can they bring him down? It's going to be able to control and kill off Crit there, but it looks like Arteezy is going to end up falling. Eternal Envy just too strong in this one with the triple. That tornado cooldown is quite good, but NP still win the fight.
A big Daedalus hit there. Man, I'm surprised that that NP didn't just fall apart the way that team fight went out. The fact that they weren't able, they countered Arteezy, right? He went for this kind of weird kind of poke at Beastmaster, thought maybe he was alone, and immediately got countered. And them failing to get that kill, I was like, oh no. They're just going to kind of get kited as they try and move backwards, right? You're going to get Earth Spirit hit. You saw the way it happened, right? You're like the tornadoes coming in, and EG they're trying to poke and prod and find these openings. The universe hits this big stun, but Envy just proved to be too big. And part of it was Envy's positioning and the way he separated himself from his team to make sure that he was the one between his team and heroes like Sumail's Invoker, right? That Invoker couldn't get to that back line and couldn't lay out some of those devastating spells off of a Centaur initiation because Envy was always in the way with his high HP, his magic immunity, and that ultimate.
I think in that fight recap, I saw he blinked 4 times or something in the space of that fight, which blows my mind. Like, he's trying to get desperately into a position to, find an angle onto somebody else besides the Shadow Fiend, but wasn't able to happen. And now, NP possibly have pulled themselves into a spot where they can push for high ground. 18 seconds with no Arteezy, and they push quite quick.
This is a tornado that is so obnoxious. He's level 25, got the minus 18 seconds and the Octarine.
Roar comes out, Meatball down as well, onto the Life Stealer. Crit's going to take a lot of damage. Actually, crit onto crit for 1,000. Down to half HP off one right click. My God. And now they have to back out. This is the scary part. 1437, still getting chased out. Glimmer Cape. There's the counterplay, though. They drop the global as well. Right-clicking him down. Can they find it? Sumail, he's almost dead here and does look like he will finally fall. Mega kill streak for Eternal Envy. It looks like, well, able to back away. Okay. Earth Spirit buys back. Universe, maybe going to drop. They have found him.
Nice catch.
And in the end, able to find a couple of core kills, and it looks like actually Sumail is going to be going for the cutting the creep wave as well.
Yeah, Sumail pulled out some fancy footwork there to be able to get out of that one. But again, it's NP, like so many other teams would eventually get caught in a mistake that as they have extended forward, they back out, they get caught by the tornado, they get caught by some sort of initiation, but NP still make good positioning.
Sumail botsed up to the top lane. They don't have him here for this fight. They are going to die. Oh, man, Arteezy takes a ton of damage. They're trying to go for the counterplay, but they're going to end up losing to Melee Barracks. Maybe going to find some more off the back of it. Envy, Glimmer Cape for the moment, still staying alive here. It does look, though, like they've been able to turn it a 3-person Slither and Crush again. Envy trying to force this issue, and they will back out after taking that Melee Barracks as another lift up. MSS still in some trouble. They find the kill on the Shadow Fiend. Maybe going to find more. It was looking good for a second, but now NP losing 3. Gonna lose 4. EG end up making the most of it in spite of losing that barracks.
Yeah, they really did. Again, it's just the problem with this tornado. When you're able to have it on a 9-second cooldown, you're able to throw it as the team goes into high ground to try and hit it on the rack, set up some EMP sort of play or something like that. And then as they retreat, you're able to catch them again with that tornado. It's just this constant poke, this constant battle where NP, they always have to be hyper aware of where the tornado's coming in and their positioning as they retreat. And I think it's just so difficult to not make those mistakes, and that's why I was so impressed with the way NP was doing it before.
I'm also looking at this too and seeing the buyback. Shadow Fiend bought back in that last engagement. I'm assuming to get a little bit more souls. He's up to 27 now, I believe, so that he can actually fight a little bit more effectively. But it does mean that, if they end up picking off Envy again in the next couple of minutes, it's going to be quite a difficult one, and looks like the tier 3 is going to drop here. Oh,
whoa,
force that
nice
forward.
Force.
Really well played. The follow-up stun, the Sunstrike will be enough to kill him. He's dead for 100 seconds, and now NP in a ton of trouble. Owie going to get lifted as well, but I think that this is just going to be eyes on the prize, trying to take him down. Stunned up for the moment is Arteezy, but it looks like he still might be able to find this kill. There's the Cold Snap as well, 4-stepped away as well as the Grave. Owie turns to fight with the Shrine help. I think that they can just focus down objectives at this point if they want to. Sumail maybe going a little bit too far forward. Oh my God, he got away on nothing there again. Oh baby, this is quite bad with still 80 seconds, and they know that Shadow Fiend can't come back.
Yeah, this is the rough part, is that a Slark will just back out of vision, heal up, and then he's going to be the one to start hitting those Raxes. Samael can also play off of Quas and just start regenning up, so they've got plenty of time to play with here.
Oh, MSS looking for the play. There's the roar, but there are so many Force Staffs. They're not going to be able to catch him. Now they don't have roar. Now they're going to turn on to MSS. Force Staffing away his Universe. Able to Force Staff away from the Sunstrike, but he is still going to get turned upon here by Arteezy. Grave to keep him alive. Trying to get the kill. Shrine and hopped as well. They're able to take down one. That's actually Sumail dying. So maybe they can find more here as Zai turned upon another hoof stomp. These fights have just gone on for an entire game, it feels like. Arteezy finds the pounce and the leash onto Lifesteal. Another Grave coming out from 1437. Lift up now onto MSS. The meatball is going to drop as well. Not quite dead as of yet. They're going to be able to back out. Sunstrike hits it. Oh, what a play. Oh, another lift up. They're trying to force this issue so hard. Envy is still dead for another 15 seconds. They're holding on to these barracks like none other. Oh my God, is he going to die to this? Right click's coming through. No, the tornado. They got the kill. There's the lift up and the shoot down.
Oh, Samael's a sniper, man. He's just picked off 2 different kills now at like 2,500 range, and he saved Arteezy with that buyback, right? They had Arteezy dead. He was no mana. He was slowed down. He couldn't get anywhere, but Samael came in with that buyback, created the space to allow Arteezy to actually retreat, and it ends up being a great fight for them.
Well, yeah, and I mean, he talked about that Agi gain. He was up to 35 for a little bit. Now that allows them to secure Roshan. So NP, they hold their barracks, but it's at a damn big cost as well. And, you know, thinking about all of the buybacks that were used in that engagement and who actually has it at this point, too, we're getting to a situation where I'm really concerned for NP's ability to hold this push.
I think Evil Geniuses, I mean, they've got Cheese and Aegis and still the stats, so I guess they could keep moving forward, but I wouldn't mind if they just kind of chilled out for like 2 or 3 minutes. Most of their heroes are on a 3-minute buyback cooldown. Universe, 3 minutes, Zai's Silencer, 3 minutes, and then the Earth Spirit on 2, and then Arteezy also needs gold. So just, you know, they have the Aegis, they have Cheese, they have great opportunities to be able to close out this game, but if it does go wrong, right, you're going to think to yourself, damn it, we should have just waited until we had buyback.
Yeah, no, definitely. Apparently it's a little bit cold in the players' room for Envy's.
I mean, Envy does have those notorious cold hands, right?
That's true. That's fair enough. That's a value thing. But what a game so far. And, you know, thinking again about the way that the graph has sort of looked throughout the whole game, you had the ups and the downs. We are going to be back underway at this point. I mean, just look at that graph. It's gone crazy. 5,000 still into the favor of EG, but it feels like one team fight, and it could all be over for either team.
I mean, just think about the many, many, many times that Arteezy walked away with less than a quarter of HP, right? That he was able to get off that ultimate at the last second. And think about how that builds up, right? If he had died that first time, maybe he would have also died the second time and the third time. And even situations like Samael, he also got out so many times on less than a quarter of HP. Just one more disable and he would have died. But NP, and I love this game because I feel like NP, they played really well and they just, you know, EG were just disruptive enough to be able to stop that initial timing that we were talking about, right? Where they had Aegis and they were going high ground the second time. And that should have been the time where NP fully takes a lane of Rax and truly takes control of the game. But
oh, we've got an Invoker refresher as well online. Going to get to see some fireworks here in a little bit. I am excited for that one. Also, I mean, just thinking about the way that it hasn't necessarily felt like either team has completely thrown away an advantage, as you were saying. It's much more just been good plays that have been the decision or the changing factors. And I think that this is a big wake-up call also for a lot of teams out there. Maybe I think some teams were maybe undervaluing NP at this event and showing that they have the capabilities to play, definitely.
I mean, this is their one opportunity to prove that they are a Tier 1 team after failing to qualify for Kiev, right? This is like they've got DAC and then they're sitting on the sidelines. So they got to go into this tournament, throw everything they have into it. That way they can secure themselves. You know, if they secure themselves top 3 here at DAC, right, that could mean maybe you're actually a contender for invites to other tournaments, and maybe you start establishing yourself as a potential invite for TI instead of going through qualifiers again.
All right, definitely. Well, NP went up there for a smoke movement towards the top lane. Weren't able to find anybody, and now heading back towards mid. It looks like Envy is just trying to become that whirling monster of death picking up the Satanic next. He has already hit so hard, and now is going to be able to do it for longer. Another smoke coming in now from Evil Geniuses, but it looks like NP know what's happening. They're going to back out.
I almost kind of wonder if he should just buy out the Satanic and ignore buyback. In many ways, Satanic is like a second life, and SF is not he's kind of notorious as being a poor buyback hero. You know, you come into the game with less souls. If you're defending base, you're not going to have opportunities to get those souls back. I kind of wonder if like this next team fight, whatever it is going to be, that could just be it, right? It doesn't matter if you have buybacks. So I'm kind of wondering if he should just buy out at this point in time, but we'll see. He's holding on to it now, not getting the Satanic just yet, and maybe they hope to just be able to draw this game out a lot longer, because they do have some growth in them. That is the one thing, is that they haven't finished up the Abyssal for the Lifestealer, and that's critical for, you know, he needs that kind of lockdown to be able to catch these heroes. They also have the SF, who can still get one more damage item after this if he wants to trade out the Hurricane Pike. You also have moon shards, all those sort of things, right? So there's still a significant amount of growth on this team. You didn't want to go late game against Slark and Volker, but now you're here, and you can still contest them 70, 80 minutes into the game.
Yeah, the MKB is there for Slark, so he has an answer to the Butterfly as well, so you need some other answer to allow him to actually get there. So the other thing that I think I noticed is Sumail was holding on to his boots in his backpack, if I'm not mistaken. Been going for, you know, just the...
Yeah,
making sure he has the Aegis as well.
I mean, he's got the movement speed without it, right? When he's all on Wex and he's running around with his Blink Daggers, so
fine.
He's good. Switched out with that Aegis whenever he needs it. Scythe of Ice is going to be his next pickup. They also still don't have the Aghanim Scepter on Universe. The Centaur, obviously, that got nerfed now down to 40% damage reduction. Still a significant amount, but you can see the change, a little bit less priority in that, as he chose to go for the Lotus Orb before finishing that Axe.
Yeah, which is quite good also, you know, being able to siege high ground, just throw it there onto whoever they want to send up to high ground and make sure that they don't get roared to death.
Yeah, getting Amplify off yourself or bouncing back a roar would be a big win in a team fight. So,
all right, another movement now from EG. Now, will they end up spotting this? The Silver Edge is there. They spot that Envy is in the area as well. And right now, they would be walking under wards. There's one ward up on the high ground, back by the where the tier 2 used to be. But will not be scouted. Now Arteezy realizes it. Yeah, there's a couple pings.
Pings it out, moves back towards his team. They still want to keep this mid and bottom lane pushed in. They don't want to give NP a quick opportunity to smoke out and put pressure on a building anywhere. So buybacks are coming back into play here. SF and Lifestealer, as well as Centaur and Silencer, don't have buyback from gold. So both teams, I think you're looking at this, and both teams kind of want to secure that extra life,
right?
Just in case.
I mean, the other thing that you saw there is Sumail actually finished off the sheep stick as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another one of those items that, you know, granted, that means he doesn't have his Blink Dagger up or some other thing up. I guess, do you want to keep the refresher constantly in your inventory and then just switch it out as soon as you use it? Or, like, mobility felt to me like it's so important for him at the start of these fights that you might not be able to warrant not having it in your inventory for 5 seconds-ish.
I mean, maybe he feels like he's fast enough that he'll be able to do the Scythe Tornado and disrupt any initiation if there is a jump onto him, thanks to the kind of heads up that Lincolns will provide him. You know, I'm not totally convinced. I think it's just player preference at this point in time, whatever he's most comfortable with.
Well, and now a potential for a big fight here going out. They actually jump out, though. Hoof Stomp not going to connect onto Owie, and the Sunstrike now. Arteezy and Envy, they're going at it with each other, but now looks like they need to try and back out. I think that this fight is going to heavily favor NP if it continues the way it's going. And, well, Sumail jumps in from the other side, is refreshed up, dropped the meatball. Didn't really end up doing all that much damage. And they bought back on the Earth Spirit as well. Very strange collection of fighting going on, and it looks like they'll be able to snag their gem back as well.
Yeah, they'll get it back into their hands. NP are just happy. Buyback was forced. They made the call. In the middle of a hectic team fight, they made the call. A buyback was used just back. That was a win.
Yeah.
They also used the BKB on Slardar, for example, to make sure that he didn't die to the Refresher Meteor combo. So refresher down, buyback used. Like, they're pretty happy just kind of resetting and in a minute's time going back in with the BKB, but they're actually going to go for it now. I thought they'd wait for the BKB knowing that the refresher is going to be on cooldown still, but I guess there's not too much else they need to wait for. 10 more seconds for Primal Roar, and they still have the Requiem. They didn't actually use it in that team fight.
Well, Envy is showing in lane, so this should signal to, I guess EG are still going to back out. They're too worried about a smoke potential. They could go in for this, though, and they're looking for initiation onto Arteezy mid lane, able to get the clutch off. Dark Pack was not there, but they throw out the Lotus Orb, keeping him alive for the moment. Reflect the Roar as well. Cheese ended up getting eaten there as well, I believe, and it looks like they're able to get the counter stun now. They're controlling up Owie. Meatball is going to drop, but that's onto 2 BKB targets. MSS looking to try and find enough damage there, and they are going to be able to bring down Arteezy. Now looking for more. Zai is going to start to get ran down here, and maybe they can take him down. A tornado lift up onto Envy to slow the push. Sumail jumps in, Sheepstick onto 1. They're going to get a Deafening Blast push back onto 2. Ice Wall as well, but another big crush comes in. SVG saving the day. Sumail able to tornado just barely away, and it does look like he's going to be able to escape with that one. Sunstrike comes down, not doing nearly enough damage. Universe, is he going to fall? They're going to have another tornado in a second if they want to throw it from far away, but Universe is already gone. Crit is going to be able to blink out, but NP with the momentum.
Nice initiation. That was great. That 4-man smoke showing Eternal Envy in the bottom lane like that. It gave Arteezy like just enough confidence to deal with that mid lane, and that's exactly where they struck. Great crushes by SVG all game long.
God, look at that range that you get from the Shadow Fiend as well. Just a monster at this point. They get the counter crush coming in. Meatball is going to be dropped again and out of mana right now. Envy's going to pop the BKB, turns to fight, pop the Satanic as well. He's taking a lot of damage here. Roar to try and create that little bit of separation. You have the Ice Wall down as well, slowing up a couple heroes, but that's now crit dead. Does not have a buyback. 90 seconds out of there. They're still turning on the lifesteal, trying to bring him down. The Sheepstick to follow, and it looks like they aren't quite going to be able to have enough damage to run him down. So NP have another window here where they can go back in for another try.
Yeah, they don't have any shrines to work off of, so they'll have to just back to base and heal themselves up. But that was another win, right? They forced those 2 buybacks. It's got to be slow and steady. You know, NP, they've been disciplined all game long. There's no sense in just losing your mind and just mindlessly running into these heroes as you see them. Again, they make the call. 2 buybacks were forced. They keep their positioning as they retreat. They make sure that, you know, if EG overextend themselves, they're ready to turn. NP are now in a position for the next 5 minutes where they have a serious win condition. If they kill the Centaur or the Slark, the game is like already 50% over. If you can actually get that 1 kill and take that hero out of the game for, you know, almost 2 minutes is what these death timers are going to be looking like, then you've almost got the game won, especially if you have Aegis and Cheese in your hands.
Yeah, it's to the point now also where you don't feel comfortable going into contest Roshan. You know, this Earth Spirit's gone for that amount of time off the map as well, so they're able to take another objective because of that Rosh respawning at that point. So another pressure towards mid. Evil Geniuses back up against the wall. How do they take this fight?
Sumail has got to be the aggressor here. He's got to be the one who sets all the initiations up. He can't let NP just walk into the base. And the reason I'm putting the pressure on him is he has the buyback. So he has the liberty to be able to go out there and try and make things happen, knowing that he has this second chance in his back pocket when he needs it. His allies, none of them have buyback at this point. So he's got to be the one to actually make the critical plays happen and lend opportunities for Arteezy and Universe to make smart follow-up plays.
Well, he is there trying to kill it all off with the tornado. They're already on top of and killing off this lifesteal. He's taking so much damage. It's going to be Glimmer Cape. They find a 4-man crush, but it's not enough to save their lifestealer. They're on top of Envy at this point. 4-step forward, trying to bring him low. Is he going to end up dying here? They're going to buy back on the lifestealer, try and get him back into the fight. The crush from Universe only catches on to MSS. They get the silence to follow, but there isn't anything else there, and that is going to be another buyback for Invoker. So I feel like EG have to find something here, but it's just so hard to take this fight because now you don't have buyback on the Invoker either.
Well, Evil Geniuses do have, like, the Lifestealer did buy back and he's making his way in. So there's still a possibility that Evil Geniuses could win this defense and kill the Lifestealer and then be able to go down mid, but they can't afford to lose some of these cores. Especially Arteezy. He hasn't racked up too much stats.
Oh my god, they jump in as soon as Universe jumped forward and able to get him out. Envy just trying to walk away from all of this one. Cold Snap there as well as a lift up in the tornado. And they're just trying to hold on as long as possible at this point.
Playing off that satanic. Uh-oh. He lost creeps to hit.
Uh-oh.
He was hoping to get back to full HP with that satanic usage, but that's okay. Still has the Aegis. Can still chill out. He can even wait for a couple more creep waves to come in because, after all,
they open wounds the creeps. That way Envy could heal off of it.
That was smart. They still got just 2 melee Raxes left. Plenty of time on the Aegis. There's no reason for NP to rush things. They've done extraordinarily well slowing down this game and setting up opportunities for themselves to get the right kind of initiations. They just keep playing the way they have, and they can close out this game.
It feels like SVG in particular has had a particularly amazing play and experience in this one, like winning mid early.
Straight up ravaged EG.
Yeah. Like over and over again. And that play also to wait until Universe initiated and get the crush off after the Force Staff to get his buddy to safety. Just really good stuff. But they need to find another one. And EG up on the high ground, actually trying to find them in the wraparound here. Is this spotted out by NP? They're going to summon a boar. I don't know if they have a Hawk up there. Doesn't look like it. But still for the moment, a weave up. This would be a decent time to fight for MP, even if they got initiated on. And now they realize what's going on.
Yeah, they knew about it. They playing that left side. They saw the ward laid down. Arteezy's got to be careful with his Dark Pack usage.
And they're going up high ground. Envy actually up on the high ground himself. Try and hit down this melee barracks. They still haven't been able to do as much structural damage as they might have wanted, but there's the initiation to come in. Aegis still there. He's going to be stunned up, brought down in just a second. Grave to keep him alive. The counter crush. Sumail is going to end up dying there to Owie, and now the counterplay is going to come out. They're all over him. Universe starting to fall low. Can they get another crush? That is going to be one. Crit doing his best. It's a 3-person stun and a 5-person magnetize, but it's not nearly enough, as NP are going to be able to take this team fight and potentially even the game. Oh my God, great display from them.
I mean, fantastic. I felt like, you know, I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, I bet I sounded like I'm just gushing over NP. But honestly, like, I was just super impressed with them. I was just like, every single time I'm watching them try and retreat from these sticky situations, you know, this level 25 Quaswegs Invokers constantly throwing tornadoes at you, and I'm watching their position, I'm like, they're really, they do so well in that regard. And this is the NP that was so dominant in the NA region for some time, is that they were able to set up strong defensive lanes where, you know, they were able to get advantages there, force the enemy team to make aggressive maneuvers, and they would play reactively off of that. And then if they can get through that laning phase and they get through that kind of awkward part, 15 to 25 minutes is usually the awkward part for NP, but then they get into the mid game and late game, that's really where they shine. They have such good late game prowess, and we see it here.
Yeah. Oh, hello everybody. How's it going?
Paul, you sound so sexy.
I know. Oh, my goodness. But anyways, it was a really impressive display. I again want to give a little shout out there. SVG, really great display from him, winning the mid lane early on for Envy to make sure that he had a good matchup there, and then later on those crushes. In your eyes, though, looking to game number 2, how do you feel EG need to respond? What's the big thing that they need to change up, or is it anything at all?
I still think Evil Geniuses played pretty well. They were disrupted enough to give themselves an opportunity. I do think draft was a bit of the problem for game 1.
All right, well, we'll find out what the panel thinks. Sending it over to Paul and the rest of them. See you guys in a bit.
Yes, thank you very much. It's back to the panel this time. Well done, Lyrical and Capitalist, with our opening game. Game 3 of the day, our third set in Group B. We're focusing on that one. And a good victory for Team MP. Let's find out what PPD and Shiva thought of that one. First of all, Peter, you said you liked the MP draft, and it worked out. It was a long-winded way of working out, though. It wasn't necessarily the easiest game that the boys will have played.
Yeah, the game definitely had some legs to it, and we thought MP was kind of just going to take it really early, but then EG came back, and then NP came back, and an hour later the game ended. So
that's a good summary of the game. Enjoyable, though, Shiva, wasn't it? I mean, interesting, fun. It was kind of. I mean, we got called back because they were like, "We think it's going to finish fairly."
Yeah,
soon.
with
We
that
were
push
like,
at high ground,
we were kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe, but EG have still got some legs left. That was 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
And as Peter rightly said, an hour that game went on, and eventually MP took it. Great game to watch.
Amazing. And as a highlight for me, and I'm sure we're going to see it, and I'm really curious what they did with that clip, because at some point, between, I think, 44 minutes and 48 minutes, there was this team fight
And
where
it never stopped.
It never ended. It just
Buybacks,
continued. And I just kept wondering, why is EG not, hitting a couple of racks? I'm not sure if that would have made a difference, but they were fighting. and